Let's cross now to listen to the opposition leader, Tony Abbott.
What I want to do for a few moments is to talk directly to the Australian people after what has been a remarkable, even bizarre day in the life of this parliament. I want to reassure people that it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be as bad as this. We are a great people. We are a great country. We are currently let down by a bad government getting worse. That will change. I want to say to the Australian people that you deserve a government that is focused on you, not on itself. You deserve a government which is focused on the national interest, not on its own survival. I want to reassure the Australian people that the coalition is ready. We are ready. We do have real solutions. We do have positive plans. We do have a good team, and we stand ready to deliver these positive plans as soon as we can. Now, regrettably, the message that the people of Australia have received from this government is that nothing is resolved. The civil war goes on. The civil war will continue as long as Kevin Rudd and Julia Gillard are in the parliament. The only way to give our country the good government that we so badly need right now at a difficult time in the life of our nation is to have an election. We cannot wait till September the 14th. If the Prime Minister was concerned about the party, if she was concerned about the country, if she was less concerned about herself and her own survival, there would be an election now.
Mr. Abbott, do you think that the independents should withdraw their support? The justification they gave was stable government.
It's interesting that when we did move no confidence in the Prime Minister today, she only survived on a technicality. The vote was 73-71 in favour of the suspension. Rob Oakeshott and Tony Windsor, to their credit, did vote for the suspension, and it's pretty obvious that when you've lost the support of Simon Crean, when you've lost the support of Richard Marles, when you never had the support of Kevin Rudd and all of the people who back him, and now the support of the people who put you into government and kept you in government is wavering, you don't deserve to stay in the top job.
Are you or others on your behalf talking to the independents, the crossbenchers, about the future?
We've just had a very big day, and obviously some of the key crossbenchers, Andrew Wilkie, Robert Oakeshott, Tony Windsor, voted with us in the Parliament in support of a motion of no confidence. Now, obviously, we will keep talking to them, but my message to the Australian people today is that minority government is an experiment that's failed. This Parliament has long outlived its usefulness. The only way to get the strong and stable government that the Australian people want and deserve is to have an election.
Do you think an election should be held earlier? Do you think an election should be held earlier than September 14, and what can you do to bring it on earlier?
Well, I think the Australian people watching today's events would be saying to themselves, how long must this circus last? Now, it's pretty obvious that while this Parliament lasts and while Prime Minister Gillard and would-be Prime Minister Rudd are at each other's throats, the circus will continue. The civil war will go on, and the government, in the words of Simon Crean today, will be deadlocked and stalemated. Now, that's just not good enough. We've got budget deficits stretching out as far as the eye can see, and instead of being focused on the budget, the government is focused on itself. It's focused on its own survival.
Does it seal your election victory, Mr. Abbott?
This isn't about me, and in the end it's not even about the coalition, and I think that's the problem. As far as Julia Gillard and Kevin Rudd are concerned, it's all about them. It's all about their success. Well, frankly, this should be about the people's success, and the only way the Australian people are going to flourish and prosper as they should is if there's a strong and stable government, and that's impossible with the Labor Party as it's currently constituted.
Mr. Abbott, isn't it true independents only voted for a suspension motion. They didn't get to a no confidence motion, therefore the Parliament does have confidence in the Prime Minister.
Plainly, the independents refused to support the Prime Minister's media legislation, notwithstanding the fact that the Prime Minister had really staked her political life on this. The fact that they weren't prepared to support the media legislation in the Parliament this week, the fact that it had to be humiliatingly pulled from the Parliament this week shows that at the very least they are wavering in their support.
You said just before that minority government
you just said that minority government is an experiment that's failed. Does that mean you'd rule out talking to the independents about supporting you in minority government now before any election?
My point is that the current situation cannot last. As I said in the Parliament today, a House divided against itself cannot stand, and that is plainly the case with the Labor Party. That is plainly the case with the current government. Now, I think it's high time that the Australian people had a chance to choose the Prime Minister and the government. We've let the faceless men have a few goes at it now, and plainly, every time they've got it wrong. It's time for the people to have their go, and that means an election.